What's going on, YouTube? It's been a minute. I wanted to come on here and make this video because over the last couple of weeks, we've had like really choppy markets, especially for NASDAQ. And, I know that a lot of you guys who maybe haven't been trading for very long, trying to find your strategy or just kind of understanding how to be consistent, are maybe expecting for you to be able to take a really good trade either every day or at least every single week, etc. And at least, from the 5-6 years of experience that I've had and the way I trade with my Liberty strategy on NASDAQ, there's just some weeks where you're not gonna catch like anything really solid, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think what happens to a lot of people is they'll get discouraged. Maybe they think their strategy just doesn't work anymore, whatever the case is. But this is to show you, right, that if you have a profitable strategy that's been back tested for some time and you understand how market conditions can change either for the worse or for the better, you'll realize that bounce backs are inevitable. And that's why I'm going to show you guys how we turned basically a week or two of really sideways crappy price action into some really solid trades this week that not only was I able to take, but the whole community in akashx was able to take with me, just sticking to the plan, right? Proper risk management, waiting for ideal confirmations and just letting the market get back to conditions that at the end of the day are suitable for how we look to trade. So let's hop on the charts and break it down. So looking back from the week of the 15th to about the 22nd of September, we had this entire piece of price action right here. And this week, we were looking for setups starting from that early Monday, which did generate a decent sell-off. However, that move started happening during London session. And a big part of, the way I trade with NASDAQ is waiting for a New York session move to happen in the market, which was very late to the party as far as the Asian range breakouts that I like to look for. So essentially, this was a decent looking setup breaking out of the low here. However, again, it happened earlier than we really wanted it to during London session. So basically, this day was scrapped for me since we never really got into any ranges that I could play off of. Heading into Tuesday, same thing basically happened. We had a London session, pushed to the upside. Did not participate, obviously, because I'm sleeping. It's not part of my trading plan, etc. So no moves caught Tuesday either. Heading into Wednesday, very choppy day. This was when we had the FOMC announcement. So there was basically one opportunity to pull the trigger that I would have maybe liked to do, which was buying above the high during FOMC. However, that was very volatile. I would have had to put a pending order because there was no way to catch that spike that happens right when news gets called out. So if you didn't have a pending order, there's just no way possible that you could have manually entered that trade, because it was like 1 minute candle where it just spiked up hundreds of pips on NAS during that news announcement. Obviously, we got liquidity grabs to the downside, to the upside, to the downside, and then back up. So that was a day that I avoided completely. And obviously, at that point, we're basically almost a whole week in. We had a major news announcement. We had the rate cuts on that Wednesday with FOMC. So we had 1, 2, 3 no trading days already. And Thursday, we had opportunities here breaking into Friday where this actually was a decent setup. And I guess just because the whole week I hadn't liked price action, my mind was just at the end of the week not even mentally there to take a setup on Friday. So we did get some sell signals to jump into this market and catch this move. I didn't even take that, and that's really on me, right, to not even pull the trigger on this one. So basically an entire week passed by where I think I tried my hand at maybe one day buying or selling. I don't even remember which day it was. If it was maybe Monday or whatever the case was, but there was basically like one loss and like no trades the rest of the week. And so at that point, I'm like, man, like we got to find some setups here, right? And, for me personally, I'm not in a hurry to try to take a million setups. But again, being in my position where I run a signals, room for the company, people are looking for trades. We're just not really seeing anything that I'm very comfortable with sending to everybody in the group. And so, at that point, I'm like, If I would have been years ago, I probably would have doubted my strategy or just doubted what I'm looking at with NASDAQ. But I said, look, at the end of the day, we're going to get back to doing what we do best, right? I want to take the time to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's video, TradexMastery. Guys, we have about a few days, the end of September, we have a 10K free funded account for anybody getting started with the akashx private mentorship program. So if you've ever wanted to take my NAS trades, be a part of a big trading community, and really take advantage of having $10,000 funded up front, now is the time. We have a few days left before September ends to take advantage of this promo. And I want to show you guys some testimonials from some that not just got funded, but have gotten payouts, because I know it's a big question when it comes to our partners at TradexMastery. Will they pay me? Is this legit? I want you to hear it first from our members to see how you can also win.
My name is Arthur Wainio, and I joined akashx about a month and a half ago. My first week of trading was actually the first week of August. I knew nothing about trading, never traded a day in my life. Everything that I learned was right here in akashx. Last week, I became fully funded, so I've been fully funded for the last 10 days. I've had 10 days of trading, and I've grown my account in those last 10 days to $16,434, which just blows my mind that you can grow so rapidly and so quickly if you just put your mind to it.
And Arthur is just one of the many amazing success stories that we have here at akashx right now. I want you to check out all of these recent payouts from TradeX in the last 30 days and ask yourself, why not you? So links in the description. Get started with akashx before September ends to receive your free 10K challenge. Now let's get back to the video. And so heading into, I believe it was Tuesday. So Tuesday the 24th is when we started actually getting, some price action that I really wanted to take advantage of. Now, this is important as well, guys, with understanding, risk management, patience, right? The psychology behind why we even want to take a trade. Again, almost no trades for a whole week. In the one trade we took was a small loss. So at that point, haven't touched any income, any money at all. Haven't been able to help anybody win any trades for over 7 days. And so Tuesday rolls around and we got this beautiful setup right here that I kind of want to give you guys an inside scoop of, what I saw here. I did break it down on my live session via akashx, the private mentorship program. But I want to show you guys a little bit of, what I saw here and why we entered this trade, right? And so we're really excited because Liberty is a strategy I've pretty much launched and been running for almost an entire year now in 2024. But we always want to innovate. We want to find ways to, create more winning opportunities or just more high probability opportunities. So there will be a Liberty 2.0 that I'm basically looking to implement maybe at the end of October, heading into November after our Dubai convention, especially going full force with it in 2025. I think it's really exciting. There was 2 trades this week that I actually implemented using this idea, and they both worked out really well. So obviously it's still in development, really just getting the rules down pat. My whole goal with Liberty was just to create a system that was easy for somebody that's coming straight out of the gate to have a strategy that's very straightforward and easier to follow than the majority of what's out there right now. This second model that I'm looking at for Liberty 2.0 is a little bit more detailed, but I think with a whole year now of students kind of learning about Liberty, how to use it, I think we're ready, right? We're ready for a 2.0 version to be able to catch a different model that basically still captures the idea of what we're looking to do, but instead of breakouts, we're looking at reversals. And so I'm going to show you guys the real best trade of the week so far that we had with this strategy, right? And so we're still looking at the Asian range, and we're going to focus on this Tuesday right here. So we had the high that we're going to mark up right here. All right, here we go. And we're going to mark up this low right here. I'm going to label this. We're going to put AL for Asian low. And then we're going to put Asian high on this one. So Asia high, Asia low. Now, traditionally, what I really look for is for us to get breakouts of this range during the New York session for entry criteria. Now, when we start to mix this together with understanding things like market structure, supply and demand, that's what really makes it more high probability and more powerful, right? So I saw this area of demand, and I like to look for them in the form of wicks, right? So we can see this wick to the downside that we had where the market looked like it was ready to continue this very strong bearish push. But really from that wick, we started to see that the market kind of came back up and started pushing back up, right? Breaking structure to the upside. So that would be, for me, a really strong area of demand that we would be looking for. This was also the low of Monday, right? First day of the week. And so understanding overall market structure, that we are in a bullish trend, right? Catching the low of Monday, being an area of demand, and also seeing that we just broke below the Asia low. There's a lot of things to tell me now where if we start to reject that Asia low and push back higher, we may be at a very low point in the market to catch a very big push up. And so that's basically how it played out. So essentially what I started looking for, reacting off of that area of demand. So let's mark that up here, this shaded box, so we can see what we're looking at. And so the reversal model, obviously I will go very in depth with the rules and creating, a very detailed trading plan for how to take advantage of them. But in general, this is going to be a reversal model instead of a breakout model. So what I'm really looking to do is have price come right back above that to be our entry signal, and then basically targeting buy side liquidity or just any highs if we're going to continue the overall structure to the upside. So that's a little bit of the higher time frame analysis and understanding how the Asian range and demand zones play into here with market structure breaking above this high being bullish. So at that point, just looking at smaller time frames, the 5 minute, the 3 minute, we see very nice reversal patterns. I'll go even down to a 1 minute to be very, very detailed with shift of structure, which is very, very big. When we start to see shift of structure off of a demand or supply zone, that's a very high probability type of setup, right? So let's mark up these lows and highs. So this is the low that originally taps into the demand area. We get a pullback, a new lower low, a new lower high, and then that last lower low here in that demand zone. And if we notice, as we start coming out of that demand zone, we're also shifting above this high. So this was like the early entry right here. And then breaking above the Asia high is like the full confirmation based off of how we're going to run this strategy. And essentially we'd go and stick to that 50-point stop loss that I like to stick to. And so this was the entry right here. And we ran for about basically a 4-to-1 almost right here on this setup. So this was one of those 0 to no drawdown, perfect, beautiful, reversal pattern entries. A lot of confluence with this setup. And that's all she wrote, right? So the funny thing is that, again, we can suffer for an entire week, right? Just looking for setups, not finding anything. But for me, if we can catch any type of setup, even once a week, where we can make triple or quadruple our risk, if we can get to a 4x, 3x of our risk on one specific trade, even once a week, we are on pace to do really, really well for the month. So there's no need to be forcing that. Now, really taking this to the next level will be identifying this as a swing trade and allowing this to really, really run. This would have gone for over a 10-to-1 risk to reward ratio at its maximum peak. The strategy, definitely calls for monitoring price at a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and then, deciding if you want to stay in or not. Personally, I ended up getting a little bit earlier of an entry down at the shift of the 1 minute shift of structure, breaking out of the demand zone. So I was able to catch the 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio to the T. But again, the strategy usually calls for us waiting for us to reverse around the Asia low. So this was, that banger opportunity of the week, right? And I could have honestly just really been satisfied with that one setup for the week. But, again, I'm always going to look for daily opportunities to catch a setup in the market if it's available to us. And so we're going to explore the other trade of the week right here, which was essentially the same idea, just at a different piece of price action, right? So same way that we, look for this reversal strategy, kind of correcting the trend after liquidity grabs. We saw the same type of potential right here after what was a massive sell-off on Thursday the 26th. So Thursday the 26th, if we look at the higher time frames like the 4-hour and the daily, we saw that we were basically reacting off of this daily supply candle right here. We literally gave a reaction to the T of that daily candle. We had obviously been pushing bullish for quite some time above that 19,500 key level here. And so at some point we were due for some strong reversal. And we had the news really to justify it, right? We had high impact news on this day, which was unemployment claims and the Fed speaking. So that combination of unemployment claims, GDP, the Fed speaking, it was just the perfect, storm for us to get, volatile price action. Now, obviously, catching the sell would have been nice, but my strategy doesn't really give us any criteria for why we would even take a sell there, right? Based off of how I trade, I like to really look for plays coming in and out of the Asian range, which we have right here. And very similarly to the setup that I just broke down, we're looking for that second model, that Liberty 2.0 strategy, where we're looking to take advantage of the reversals off of the Asia. So we're going to mark this up again, and we're just going to focus on the low, right? We have the high marked up right over here. Okay. And, obviously, again, we had that huge meltdown from all the way up here. And my original model for the breakouts of the high and the low, right, are very powerful. But there's one detail that I tell people all the time, which is you got to pay attention to context of how far has price traveled before we even start getting that breakout, right? Because basically, by the time we even got to the Asia low after 9:30, we had already traveled about 3,000 pips, right? About 300 points on NASDAQ for the day. So if we want to try to catch even more than that, breaking below this low, it's asking a lot of NAS, right? Even with news, that is a steep ask to, really expect the NASDAQ to continue to drop and drop and drop after it has already done a lot of, sell-off from just prior to getting to this range, right? So at that point, that's something that I take into account, right? Okay, what are the chances that we're going to keep dropping off below this low versus actually just recovering some of this big move that just happened, even half of it, right? Because at some point, these sellers are going to exhaust in the market and we're going to have to rebalance some of that big move, right? We might not get a full correction, but at least half of the move is very reasonable to expect. So at that point, same type of mental process as the other setup, right? We allow for, the low to be taken. And then we want to identify, are there any type of demand zones here, right? Like where's the last point in price where we had a strong push to the downside before we had this massive rally? And if we look, the last real strong bearish push was right here, where we kind of, had this whole sell-off. We had this big push right here. And then from there is where we had this massive rally. So this is that last area of demand that created, right, this move to the upside. So that's the area of demand that I wanted to really focus on and mark up here as something that we want to see reactions from if we're expecting reversals. So again, same type of thought process and play from the other trade. We're going to want to see price react to that level and then break above Asia to basically jump into a trade. So with this specific trade idea, there was 2 times where we had the opportunity to get in. So I had originally gotten into this trade And then we actually basically ran for about a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and then hit break even for me personally. Re-entered the second time and hit about a 2-to-1, and that's where we ended up pulling the trigger and getting out of the trade. So right here, we had that initial reaction to the demand zone, and we started to push up, respect, and continue. And that's where I called out the trade alert on akashx. So looking at this on the 1 minute, just for more detail, where is the shift of structure occurring, right? And so if we look, we have that beautiful bullish candle right here that led to this lower low, and we shifted right here, right, and respected that area to continue pushing. And so that's why that trade was, called the way it was. So just marking this candle right here. This is my shift of structure. And that's where we called out the entry right here. So essentially on the pullback right here, 50-point stop, targeting at least 3-to-1. Really, I had my eyes set for a full target of getting into this imbalance area, 270, 20, 270, about over a 4-to-1 risk to reward. Same thing, right? And as you guys can see, we ended up running for a little bit over a 1.5-to-1, right? About 1.6-to-1 risk to reward before we ended up returning to entry over here for break even, right? Now, I still personally at that time really had that belief that we would be able to come back up, right? I really just didn't see ourselves going bearish. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know what price is going to do, so I have to respect, the rules that we have set for trade management and exiting positions. But once we started seeing that, again, price made that bullish move, made a new lower low, reacting off this demand zone, and we started shifting structure and also above the Asia low, same exact confirmations as here, there's no reason not to pull the trigger on that trade again. So I ended up re-entering here. I put a buy stop here because I really didn't want to miss it. I had a feeling if we would cross it, we just would not be able to get a pullback, and that's exactly basically how it played out. 50-point stop was perfect again, just kind of covering the low right here. Same process of thinking, I want to get to at least a 4-to-1 for final targets, but, just want to monitor price once we get to this Asia high again, right? We drag this out right there. And also another thing is that we were kind of headed out of New York session, right? At this point, it's already, 3 p.m., 3:30, 4 p.m., almost 5 p.m. market closure around this price point right here. And I'm not the type to really want to stay in position during Asian session or heading into London. My entire strategy and way of trading revolves around sticking to just New York session. So essentially, we had got into about a 2.7 risk to reward ratio, touching the Asia high, and this was at around 6 p.m., 6:20. And once we started heading into Asian range at 7 and started seeing price kind of shifting away, I ended up clipping the position for about a 2-point-something% gain. And that was it for that trade. So I ended up getting out around here, a little over a 2-to-1. And that was it, right? So basically for the week, called out that really nice 4-to-1 opportunity on Tuesday. Via the alerts, we had this 1-to-1 and then the re-entry. I let everybody know on my Telegram that ran for about a 2-to-1. And we were done, right? There was a decent opportunity heading into Friday, last day of the week, that I probably would want to look for sells here, just kind of using that reversal model for the sell side. But I was just very content with having a really nice bounce back week, basically going undefeated for the week and catching, 5-6 R multiples. So I wasn't really trying to chase anything, but this was a decent sell-off on Friday as well. And that's why I really want to introduce it more into the community and to you guys here on YouTube as well to an extent. These, buy models, sell models for not just breakouts, but also reversals. So super excited, man, to, have these bounce back weeks. And it's just a lesson, from a psychology standpoint, guys, when it comes to trading. You have to be able to do two things. Number one is Stay consistent with your thought process, right? Don't let the market conditions really throw you off. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is either by really managing your risk properly, cutting your position sizes. If you see that you're going through a losing streak or you're just not really feeling the markets, you have to really trust your gut and your intuition over time as you start getting more experienced as a trader to just know, hey, if the market is not clearly communicating to me, just sit it out, right? Sometimes we have this short-term memory thinking that the market won't go back to what it used to be when we were winning, and it definitely will, right? So never doubt that if you created a strategy, if you follow a strategy, you learn from somebody, and you have had really strong winning times, really look at why were those winning times happening, right? Was it because the setups were very clear and easy to see, easy to understand, right? You just saw it, it made sense, and you took it and you won. If it's not happening right now, don't think it won't happen again, right? Don't think that it won't come back to those conditions that served you well in the first place. You just have to allow the market to get back to, again, those conditions that serve you and not try to really, push you back. And so that's just something I wanted to really show you guys here today is that, again, when you're trading, not every week is going to go super smooth. Not always are the conditions going to be suitable for the way that you trade. And, sometimes you just have to adapt, right? This was a perfect moment for me to introduce, the reversal patterns and the second model I've been thinking about introducing for a while. And that's how it goes, right? We just have to continue to build on what we know, right? Not try to change everything, but adapt to what the market is giving us and find a way to just create more, high probability scenarios. So with that said, guys, I hope that this video served you well. Hope you guys got a lot of value from this breakdown, and trust your trades, right? Heading into the rest of this year, we got less than 100 days left in 2024. Guys, now is the time to lock in. Now is the time to give it all you got and make this year count heading into 2025. We have a few days left. If you're watching this before September ends, we have our promo. Anybody getting started with the akashx private mentorship is receiving a free 10K challenge. We have received a crazy amount of testimonials from people that have been taking my trades, trades from other educators in the community that have their phase ones, phase twos, get funded, and most importantly, get their payouts, right? When you have the right education, when you have the right mentorship, when you have the right community behind you, not only can you just win today, but you can win in the long haul. And that's really what trading is all about. It's not about, having a decent day or a decent week. It's about being able to turn that into winning months and years to really build a dynasty in this industry, right? So with that said, guys, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and share this channel. We're closing in on 400 subs. So appreciate all of you guys that have been here from day one. Super excited to continue evolving Liberty and everything that we do on this channel. So much love, and let's run it up.